Guys, I did it. I watched the new Kardashian show on Hulu. Curiosity got the best of me. We have a Hulu account, so I watched the first episode. I definitely wasn't really expecting that I would watch it, and I certainly wasn't expecting to be inspired to make a video from it, but here we are. There were two moments in particular that really stuck out to me. The first one has to do with veganism, and the second one has to do with toxic diet culture. If you aren't familiar with my channel, I discuss mostly topics related to veganism, but I also haven't shied away from discussing toxic diet culture when it comes up, especially if it overlaps with veganism. So these two moments I want to discuss from the show, what they have in common is sort of the problematic way that our society oftentimes discusses food and eating. So before we go any further, I want to disclaim that this video will contain discussion about diet culture and eating issues. So if you find those topics could be triggering for you, then please do what's best for you. Also, I am not a mental health professional or an expert on these topics, so I'm really just going to be discussing them from my own perspective and my experiences. So the first moment occurred in the first real scene of the show, which was a barbecue that Kim was hosting at her house to sort of welcome everybody back because they haven't been filming for the last 9 months. In typical Kardashian fashion, it's catered. I spotted the chafing dishes right away. So I get it, if you have a lot of money and you're hosting something, why not hire a company to cater and take care of the food for you? But it just kind of was funny to me because I'm like, isn't the whole point of a barbecue to grill things outside and sort of have these nice charcoal taste of everything you cook on the grill? This to me felt more just like a buffet, but then they ate outside, so I guess that was the barbecue portion of it. I mean, whatever floats their boat. I think sometimes rich people just kind of want to pretend they're one of us, so if they want to have this highly catered event and call it a barbecue, go for it. So we get to the part of the scene where they're getting food from the buffet, and Kim looks at the camera and says this.
I'm a vegan most of the time, 98% of the time, but today I'm going wild.
So I have heard Kim mentioning veganism before in the last, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. She has posted a ton about vegan food on her stories. She clearly enjoys eating vegan food, eats it a lot. There's even this one story where she threw shade at people who aren't plant-based, and it was just kind of funny because I was like, oh, Kim's having her holier than thou vegan moment. That's nice. And it is really nice that she posts about it so much. Kim has over 300 million Instagram followers, so anytime she posts vegan food or, you know, says anything positive about plant-based eating, it's undeniably a win, in my opinion, for the vegan movement. But my issue with her comment in the show is that she was framing veganism as a diet to be cheated on. If you're watching this video, you most likely know veganism isn't a diet per se. It's a set of moral values by which you live your life. It extends far beyond just what you eat. But I know that a lot of people call themselves vegan when the only part of it they follow is following a vegan diet. And if you've watched my unpopular vegan opinions video, you know that that doesn't really bother me that much. Sure, it's a misuse of the word, but I'm not really here to gatekeep or police people's language around how they describe themselves, because ultimately I think that just kind of pushes and scares people away, and we really want to be bringing people in. But I did find the way Kim talked about it here to be interesting. You know, using the phrase going wild implies that there's something, you know, very limiting or restricting about being vegan 98% of the time. Like as if eating meat is wild and being vegan is tame, I guess, and therefore not as fun. It's framing veganism as something that you need to rebel against, when in reality, I think if you're vegan, you know, for the right reasons, you don't really feel the need to rebel against it. Not to mention, Kim is reportedly a billionaire and she lives in Los Angeles, so pretty much any vegan food that she could have possibly wanted to be catered at this event, she presumably had access to. You know, but maybe Kim wanted to just have classic junk food and not have it be vegan, and that's fine too. But if it is something you're really committed to and you're able to have it both ways, why not? Also, I thought it was funny because Travis Barker was at this event. He is, engaged to Kourtney Kardashian, and he is a pretty well-known longtime vegan. And so I was kind of wondering, like, what is Travis eating at this event? Is there any food for him? Despite me not loving this comment that Kim made, I still feel like Kim mentioning veganism on a platform as huge as the Kardashians, apparently this first episode was Hulu's most watched premiere ever. So even Kim just mentioning veganism, I think probably is a net win for veganism, right? Especially because she wasn't saying anything bad. In fact, she was, aligning herself with vegans. But unfortunately, Kim treating veganism like a diet to be cheated on led me to believe that maybe she's more interested in it for its health benefits, including potential weight loss benefits. Which brings us to the next scene that I want to discuss. Later in the episode, Kim, Khloe, and Kourtney meet up for lunch. They meet up at a place called Lucky's in Malibu, which according to their banner is known for steaks, chops, seafood, and cocktails. I didn't know at first if chops referred to like the meat kind of chop or maybe a chopped salad, but when I took a browse at their website, kind of answered that for me. When your vegan radar immediately goes off just from looking at the outside of a restaurant, and you just kind of immediately know that this restaurant's not gonna have anything for you to eat. That was the vibe I got just from the exterior shot of the restaurant. For some reason, I think because I was a server for so long, I really like server scenes on reality shows. I find them so fascinating. I think partially just because they're so awkward, and I imagine must be so bizarre for the server. But in the context of this show, I was of course interested in what Kim would order, given that she said that she is 98% vegan. So I was like, okay, is she gonna order something vegan? Or is this gonna be one of the other 2% of the times where she goes wild? So this is what Kim orders.
I'm gonna get a grilled artichoke.
Gosh, she scared me.
With a side of mayonnaise and the skinny onion rings.
Then Kourtney orders an Impossible Burger with sweet potato fries, and I could just tell that this is the type of restaurant that has like one vegan thing on the menu, and it's an Impossible or Beyond Burger, but the bun it comes on isn't actually vegan, and they don't have any vegan cheese or mayo options. So really, if you want to get it veganized, you have to just get it on a lettuce wrap with a tomato, and like that's the only option. Could you just put like that much more effort in? Then Kim decides to add to her order.
May I please get the iceberg lettuce wedge as well, but all chopped? Can I add tomato to it? And can I add egg and ranch dressing?
Then Khloe's like, that sounds so good, I want that too, actually. And Kourtney's like, okay, I want that too. So there's a moment right after this that is really upsetting and egregious that we're gonna get to, but first I wanna discuss the food order. So again, Kim orders something not vegan, which again, not judging, but it is just notable since she sort of made such a big deal of that in the first scene. I wanted to mention the onion rings being called skinny onion rings. My initial thought was that this restaurant had sort of like a lower calorie onion ring option, kind of like a skinny margarita type of thing. But seeing what they looked like when they came, it was actually, I think, just the style of onion ring where they're kind of like the thin sort of shoestring onion ring style rather than like the fat rings. And this is actually my favorite type of onion ring or onion string or whatever. But the fact that these were called skinny onion rings did stick out to me. Did Kim order these specifically because they had the word skinny in them? I don't know. But now let's cut to the other part that I wanted to talk about. So right after the food order, we cut to this ITM, which stands for in the moment, I think. It's a reality TV show term, but it's basically a confessional style interview where someone is discussing the moment that you just saw in the scene. And in this case, it's Khloe in the ITM. So let's take a look.
We are foodies. That's why we work out the way we do, because we'll order everything and we scarf it down and we pray for forgiveness later. It's horrible.
Oh my God. There's a lot to unpack there. First of all, I think the term foodie is very overused these days. I think there really are people who are foodies, meaning they sort of live their lives in a way of constantly seeking out unique food and dining experiences. Maybe they travel all over to find good food. They write about it. It's sort of like just an integral part of their lifestyle. That's what I would consider a foodie. But it seems like people have now started using the term foodie just to describe the fact that they enjoy food, which is all of us, right? Like humans are biologically designed to enjoy the experience of eating. If we weren't, we would die. And I know that there are people that are not able to enjoy food because they have issues around food or eating, and I have a lot of sympathy for that. But in general, humans are biologically designed to enjoy the experience of eating. It's why we have taste buds. We have chemical reactions that happen in our brain when we eat. We feel full and satisfied after we eat. That's all, none of that is a coincidence, right? Just to maybe play devil's advocate a little bit with Chloe, this could have been filmed in regard to something else. Like it's a very classic reality TV thing where they switch up the contexts all the time. So it looks like they're talking about this scene because they put it right here, but really they were talking about another scene. But from what I understand, the Kardashians have pretty tight control over their editing. And so I'm going to take this at face value that she was referring to this specific scene in this ITM. And in this interview, it made it seem like she was justifying the amount of food that they had ordered in this scene, which was not a lot of food. In fact, from looking at Lucky's menu, the salad that they all got is listed under the side salad section on the menu. So these weren't even entree salads, they were side salads. Granted, they added the tomato and the egg, so that made them a little more filling, I guess. Kim also got the artichoke, which is an appetizer, and the onion rings, which are a side. So it's essentially 5 sides between 3 people, which I'm not saying it's not enough food, but I'm saying it's certainly not such an insane amount of food that it needs explanation or justification. You're a human being and you're out to lunch and you ordered food. Sounds pretty standard to me. And she also explains that the reason that they exercise so much is so that they can eat this way, which I think is a very toxic diet culture attitude. I will admit, I used to exercise as a way of burning calories and to sort of balance out what I had eaten during the day, which is really not a healthy mindset, and I'm very happy that I don't have that anymore. I think because I've experienced it, I sort of know how icky and toxic that feels and how detrimental it is to your mental health. The problem is when you're always thinking about how much you're going to have to work out later while you're eating a meal, you're not really getting to enjoy that meal. And then when you're working out later and you're just thinking about how many more calories you need to burn in order to offset the meals you ate, then you're not really enjoying working out either. I strongly believe that eating should be an enjoyable experience and working out should be an enjoyable experience. And if you don't enjoy working out, find a different form of exercise, because I promise there are forms of exercise that feel fun and uplifting and not punishing. Unfortunately, I think our society oftentimes sees working out just as like a pounding, punishing thing that we have to do. Not to mention the language that she used. We scarf it down and then we pray for forgiveness is just such an upsetting sentence. When I think of someone scarfing down food, I don't imagine them enjoying that food at all. So then it's kind of like, what's the point of even eating that specific food if you're not even enjoying it? Secondly, you do not need to pray for forgiveness for doing the thing that humans are required to do in order to survive. Unfortunately, this isn't all Chloe said. Right after she says this, they cut to a clip of Kim getting excited about seeing a blueberry thing on the menu and then being like, oh, never mind, it's a cocktail. I thought it was a blueberry pie. And then Chloe says this.
Fat ass.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about Kim. No, just kidding.
Yeah, that's great. Call your sister a fat ass. That's really gonna help the situation. Like I said, this could be editing taken out of context, but even if it is, then it's just like really shitty producing and editing, because if it's not Chloe creating this narrative, then someone else is creating the narrative, and either way, it's just a terrible look for the whole show. Going back to Kim, I also randomly found this clip from a Poosh YouTube video. If you don't know, Poosh is Kourtney's wellness blog. It's sort of, I think, trying to be like a Goop type of thing, but it has a YouTube channel, and Kim did this video on the YouTube channel that was in partnership with Beyond Meat, and it's Kim sharing how she makes her Beyond Meat tacos, which apparently she makes a lot and really enjoys. But the video opens with this clip.
Don't mind us, pooshers. We're gonna poosh ourselves to the gym after this.
Don't mind us. Like, what are you talking about? I don't mind, first of all. You're doing a cooking video and then you're eating the thing you just made. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Again, this need to sort of justify or almost apologize for the fact that they're eating a vegan taco that from the ingredients list looks incredibly healthy. So where is this guilt coming from? You know, it does make me pretty sad. This seems to be a deeply held belief that at least a few members of this family have, and sometimes these types of attitudes can be learned or they can be familial, and so it must be hard for them. But I will say this is an attitude that I see so much. I see it on TV, I see it in the media, social media, I see it even with people that I know. The problem with the Kardashians displaying this attitude is that it doesn't just affect them. Because they're on our TVs, because they're everywhere, they're constantly in the news, they're all over social media, they have combined almost 1 billion Instagram followers, they're telling us what to buy, they're telling us what to eat, they're selling us shapewear. So because of all of this, their attitudes on food and eating have the potential to affect a lot of people. You know, the Kardashians are also known for creating and upholding toxic beauty and body standards. They were some of the first ones to start shilling flat tummy tea on Instagram, which was marketed as some sort of wellness tea, but in reality it was just laxatives repackaged. And they've apparently had, you know, face and body altering surgeries, which is again their prerogative and their right to do, but also they've known to be kind of deceptive about that. They've been known to heavily edit and filter their photos, all of which just creates this distorted reality and this impossible set of beauty standards. They are also victims of this culture and this society that we live in, but I also believe that they're at least partially responsible for it as well. So in both of these scenes from the show, there's this sort of overarching need to justify and explain the way they're eating, either by Kim explaining why she's eating what she's eating, or Khloe explaining why they're eating the amount they're eating. What I wish for them, and really for women and just humans in general, because it's not just women who struggle with this, is for them not to punish themselves with food, not to punish themselves with exercise. This is obviously easier said than done. This isn't something you should try to go through alone, is what I'm saying. Definitely seek help, and ideally seek help from a professional, because unfortunately, a lot of times the people we look to, like influencers, are struggling with so many of the same issues and are really in no position to help us. And also, I think I just want them to be honest with themselves and be honest with us. You know, Kim may really want to portray this image of herself that she's vegan or that she's plant-based, maybe because she thinks it's cool or trendy, but the reality is, it's okay if she's not. I would rather her just be honest than constantly trying to keep up this facade, which it seems like they are kind of constantly trying to do in a lot of different areas of their lives. And just like with everything with them, it's the double standards that really don't sit well with me. So all of this was just from the first episode. Who knows what the rest of the season will bring, but it's important to me to bring this conversation to light, because I think it can be easy when you're taking in media like this just to kind of absorb the messaging without really thinking about what's being said. If you don't know any better, if you've never thought of it this way, or if you unfortunately feel the same way yourself, this could end up just being validation for you rather than something that is an unhealthy attitude that really shouldn't be shown to anyone, much less, you know, the probably tens of millions of people who watch the first episode. But if this could help anyone think about themselves, their own relationship with food, their own relationship with exercise any differently, then I would be very happy to have been able to do that. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting or informative or both. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Love to hear some of your thoughts, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.